this is huge. World of Warcraft, the War Within is a total game changer for everything that you ever knew about World of Warcraft. Whether it is the new endgame content, delves, or the hero talents, or the account-wide reputation for all of your alts, and this is just not it. There's so much more to get into. You're going to love the next expansion, so let's dive right into it, with the first on the list being the delves, quite aptly named as such. Now, the delves will be the new content that we're gonna have access to in the War Within. Ian essentially went through a lot of details what these will be, but of course, everything in this video and everything that they've announced is very subject to change. First of all, delves, think of them as kind of dungeons, but they're not dungeons. They are instant content, but you don't go through a portal and there is no load screen. It's going to be seamless and most likely take advantage of some advanced sharding mechanic where you're just poured into your own delve, but you don't actually go through a specific loading screen. And you can go do this solo or with a group. It's definitely intended to be some kind of a solo content, so you don't feel forced to have people with you. And on this journey, which is going to be seasonal, each season is going to change. On this journey, you're going to take a companion, and for the first season, we will have Bran Bronzebeard. Now, what the companion will do is essentially will assist you in combat. It has its own playstyle, and you'll have to probably play together with Bran and kind of work together to defeat the challenges. You'll be able to customize Bran with gear and most likely upgrades to abilities. We don't know the details of them because they haven't said, but that's essentially how the companion will work. Now, as you go into the delve, the essential mechanic is that it's a dark cave and you only have a limited amount of light. That light is essentially fuel. Think of it as wood for your fire, for your light. You essentially use candles. And part of this mechanic is you go slay kobolds or other trash, but as far as we know, it only applies to kobolds as of this moment, and your candle will essentially replenish. This is a common theme to other games that are out there. Darkest Dungeon comes to mind where, you know, you kind of have a limited amount of light source as you progress deeper, and you kind of have to constantly refuel that as your journey goes on. In this delve, which is not just a dungeon, you'll have obviously combat encounters, you'll have puzzles to clear, you might have some bosses, some lieutenants. It might not actually end, and this was very aptly specified, it will not end with a boss, but it will end with a room full of treasure to loot items. Now, the type of loot that we're gonna have in the delve is going to scale up all the way to heroic raid level, late heroic bosses or early mythic bosses, not the highest level in the game, so as to not, you know, kind of invalidate mythic raiding, but you're probably going to get pretty high eye level from the delves, essentially being a world content, an open world content, more than we have ever gone before, which is great. It's basically what the world quest could have probably wanted to be, but delves is just essentially better. We're gonna have 12 so far confirmed delves in each zone. There's like 3, 4, 3, and 2 maybe. It's all over the place. It's all good. Possibly a 13th delve being hidden, probably unlocked through certain achievements or quests or anything like that. Another thing that's going to be really cool with delves is that you're going to unlock customizable mount, or at least one mount that we have seen, and you can essentially customize this as we did and as we currently do with drakes and dragons in Dragonflight. You will be able to put wings and boars and propellers and whatever it is, because this definitely looks like kind of like an explorer type flying ship of whatever kind. I want to call it an airplane, but it's probably not an airplane, but that's really cool. It's good that this mechanic is extended to something other than just Dragonflight, clearly, and is going to be awesome. Moving into warbands, which is a feature that we have been asking for a long time, account-wide alts. What does this mean? Well, first of all, warbands is essentially just a quality of life improvement, but most likely a gameplay and playstyle improvement as well. What this will do is it will make most of the things in WoW account-wide. Renowned reputations first come to mind, where you can just progress through all of them account-wide. A more simpler example would be the flight paths. If you unlock flight paths on one character, you have them on all the other characters as well. The early mentioned Bran Bronzebeard customization through the delves will also be account-wide, so you don't have to take Bran through level 1 to whatever max level progression that character will have. With every one of your alts, it will already be account-wide. We will have warbound items, which is kind of like a soulbound type item. Now, warbound items are essentially a type of item that you cannot trade or sell, but you can put into your warbound bank, which is going to be the shared stash, the shared bank with all of your alts, and another alt can use it. It has been specified that this will not reach super high eye levels because we don't really want to use alts to funnel gear to a main, which makes a lot of sense. But if you do find a cool piece of gear that you're like, oh my god, this would be perfect for my mage, but I'm playing my warrior, then you can just put it into your bank, log into your mage, and take that item out. And then once you equip it, it will become the natural soulbound item progression that we already know. Part of this warbound bank is to store reagents as well and other warbound type items so that you can just share them and craft with your alts account wide without having to log in, log out, send items, send mail. Most likely also currency as well, the way the dragon scale expedition supplies that we know, the order supplies that we had before, all of the currencies that you're going to be gathering through the expansion so far that we know of will be account wide and shared through with your alts. Transmogs will also be a part of this as well. If you're like me and you're farming Siege of War Grimoire like a maniac and you have all of the plate items but the cloth and leather and mail items cannot be transmog because I'm a warrior, you can just put them into your bank, and then all of your alts of other armor types can also benefit from the transmogs that you unlock by having those in, which is fan-freaking-tastic. It will not be realm specific, so you can essentially put in your warbound alts from all across the realms and the servers and all of that, which is really cool. Plus, this all comes with a neat little interaction that we mentioned in the video yesterday, where it looks like your alts are just sitting around the campfire, and it just gives you this aspect of you're in charge of a team of heroes, which are your alts, and it's your warband anymore. It's no longer your main and your alts, is just your warband, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Also, achievements will be account-wide, most of them at the very least that we know of. Probably super prestigious, unique achievements that require super specific player skill or character skill level might not be, but everything else will likely be account-wide. Now, a quick mention for the hero talents, for which we will have a dedicated video, so I'm not going to go into too much details for this, but we do know a lot more about the hero talents, and they're going to be the new talents that we unlock in the new expansion. We're going to have a total of 10 nodes, and we're going to be able to unlock all of them, so it's not like the regular talents where you won't be able to have access to all of them, so you have to choose. That's not the case. We'll have choice nodes with the talents as well, and the main focus of this is to give deeper class fantasy. So essentially, each class will have sub-specs for the hero talents, and some hero talents can be acquired by 2 specs. That kind of makes sense. For instance, the Druid Keeper of the Grove can be accessed by Balance and Restoration Druid at the same time, and the bonuses will affect both specs. More on this in the hero talents video that is going to come tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And part of the things that you can just get if you're just paying attention to everything that we do is custom-made wallpapers for your character. If you do decide to also support us on our Patreon, where we have early access videos, bloopers, and other cool stuff, by just clicking the link down below, you'll definitely be supporting this video and help us make more cool content in the next 3 expansions or more. We also know a little bit about the new allied race, the Earthen, which are going to be unlocked by just simply doing the campaign. There's no reputation to check mark or achievement to get or anything like that. Just do the campaign and we will naturally unlock these. And similar to Drakthir and Pandaren, once you create an Earthen character, you can just choose which faction that will go to, which is really cool, and possibly the way the future allied races will be unlocked with less hassle and just super instant access. That's fan-freaking-tastic. Now, dynamic flight is the new name of the dragon riding flying model thing that we have right now, and it's here to stay. It's how flying will be from now on until they might decide on something else. But for now, this is how it's going to be. It's going to be the default flying, but you can also choose between it and the old school type flying, the what they called TBC flying, let's say that. Now, part of this dynamic flight is we're gonna have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mounts that will be incorporated into this. Ian did mention that not all of them will be included because there's some issues with the mount skeleton and not all of them can kind of do the dynamic flight. We'll see how that progresses. I'm thinking maybe horses without wings cannot be, not saying dragon riding, but dynamic flying, so that's possibly the thing. But we'll still have hundreds of other mounts, probably all the other Drake mounts at the very least. And in terms of unlocking dragon riding or dynamic flight, now I have to get used to calling it this way, since with the new expansion, the War Within, Dragonfly will become the default leveling expansion for new people or your future leveled alts, and you'll be able to unlock dragon riding or dynamic flight, I'm doing it again, at level 10 once you do go into the Dragon Isles and get some of the cool specific Dragon Isles glyphs. Now, part of this new dynamic flight system is that some of the core glyph systems, some of the core abilities of dynamic flight will be baseline-ish in the way that you don't have to go to Dragon Isles to uncover the glyphs to unlock all of the abilities, extra vigor slots, vigor regeneration, and speed and stuff like that. Everything that's kind of like generic will be, I guess, baseline or whatever that version of baseline will be. Also, this will be unlocked day 1, the first moment you step foot into Khaz Algar, into the new zone, Styles of Dorn, or whatever the zone that we will start with will be. you'll have dynamic flight, but the old school TBC flying in the new zones will only be unlocked at max level. Plus, it has been hinted that in 10.2.5 we will be able to use dynamic flight, or dragon riding as it will probably still be called then, in all of the prior zones of World of Warcraft. A quick shout out to the PvPers. We will have a new battleground, the 10v10 battleground, that is push the cart to collect the resource, intersect with the opposing factions, pushing path, and then just duke it out, and essentially confirm that we're going to have more and more battlegrounds in the near future. And as you may already know, in 10.2 we will have solo queue for 8v8 battlegrounds, which is an experiment that they're running, and if the experiment proves to be successful, we can expect this to be taken into the War Within, so far, allegedly. And with that being said, we do have interface updates. Since Dragonflight has basically taken the UI and overhauled it, we will have more cool things added in terms of the quest log, being able to filter quests and hide quests that you don't want, basically essentially helping you go through all of the dozens and dozens of quests and essentially find the ones that you really want. And the spell book has been updated, and it actually looks really cool and modern. It's now a tab in your talents tab as well. Once you open your talents, you'll have your spell book there as well, and as you can see, it doesn't look like a 2004 game anymore. And last but not least, we will have cross-realm guilds, and this could potentially be a much bigger feature than you might expect. Yes, cross-realm guilds are happening. It was inevitable after we've had Alliance and Hordes being able to join the same guild. Server won't matter at all for recruiting, joining, and playing with the guild, and as such, cross-realm mythic rating will be unlocked in day one, because obviously it would have to be a feature to kind of work into this. And Ian kind of hinted at something that I will iterate myself, but he didn't use these words because they're pretty big words. But this is the first step in increasing the social aspect of the game, which to me sounds like in the future, I say in about max 2 expansions, we might have cross-region play, where finally EU can play with NA and can play with the Asian realms, and everybody else, whatever other realms there are, we will all be able to play together in the future. This is inevitable. I'm calling it. It's going to happen. Oh, and one more thing before we go, the vault items have been addressed as well, where the delves will contribute to the vault, like I mentioned before. And you might notice from the screenshot, the same way that we did, is that the PvP zone is gone as well, considering that we also talked about battlegrounds. Probably a good point to make about the PvP loot as well, being separate from the vault. We're just gonna get more gear and more conquest by just doing PvP to kind of get the gear at the same rate, and have the vault be a strictly PvE type thing where you can just get the gear the way that you want to. And I did mention that this is going to be a part of a 3 expansion World Soul saga, and if you don't know, and if you haven't seen it just yet, we have a very short quick video right here to essentially show you everything that you need to expect from the next 3 WoW expansions: the War Within, Midnight, and the Last Titan.